Hello, welcome to another episode of Talking Rangers. Today is Tuesday, July 9th. We are about 1 week removed from the start of NHL Free Agency. The free agent frenzy is kind of a week old, week over now. Still some guys out there, still some names that'll be signed, but for the most part, the main free agency frenzy is now concluded. This is episode 35. Make sure to please like and subscribe. We're going to discuss what the Rangers have done so far. We'll also discuss some other things with this team and stuff like that. Obviously, some rumors and some trades and things like that on top of the two moves that the New York Rangers made. Overall, it was a quiet free agency. I think a quiet, frustrating free agency would probably be the way I would put it, for me at least. We talked about some of the moves, some of the players that they could have went out and got, or we kind of revealed, I guess, our tiers in the last episode of, the Marchessaults, the Canes of the world, Toffoli's, those guys. The chances the Rangers could get those guys. Sure enough, they ended up getting none of them. The whole Trouba situation's kind of interesting right now. Very confusing. Not really confusing, just very puzzling with his wife's residence in New York with her job, and then him, his no trade list, and it's just a kind of a messy situation there. But the Rangers do go out and trade for Riley Smith. They go out and sign Sam Carrick. So, Joe, before we break down some of these moves, how you doing?
Yep, been good. It's kind of like dog days of summer.
Yep.
Hot as all hell out in here
Yeah.
in New Jersey. So it's been
Swamps of Jersey.
it hasn't been great, but we did have a Talking Rangers golf outing.
Yes.
Just me and Bubbs.
Talking Rangers golf outing. Next outing, Danny, our post-game co-host, should be joining us.
We'll get him to come, but as far as just the free agency,
Our golf
goes,
outing was a whole lot better than Rangers free agency. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'll tell you that too. Yeah, a lot more. I trust my golf game more than I trust some of these guys in the playoffs. But
yeah.
Besides the point, I don't know, a little disappointing, obviously, but to that extent is Drury's handcuffed and not his fault. I mean, if you want to say maybe he's made one or two bad moves as far as the Buchnevich deal, kind of was able to get a Gaudreau contract, which I applaud him for that. Not a great move, but really Gordon kind of just made this team what it is now, and he had really no moves that he could have done with $8 million on Trouba's contract. So for people expecting any kind of like we were saying, like Marchessault or Kane, maybe Kane could have fit under the cap if he took a little bit of a cheap deal, but we don't have any cap. So the thing was, for the last week, everybody's talking Trouba's probably going to go. Trouba's going to get traded, and if that happened, they could have gone out and made a move, but obviously they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find anything that he wanted to do because he does have the no trade. People are talking about, obviously he's got his family here, his wife is working here, so he definitely doesn't want to move. So he's trying to make it, more difficult. Maybe put some teams on the list that you would expect him to want to go to, just so the Rangers couldn't trade him there. But I know it's all speculation. At the end of the day, he's going to be on the team, I think, at least for this season. We'll see about the following season, but not really much cap. I mean, they signed Carrick for, I think, 3 years, $1 million.
Maybe. Yeah.
Fourth liner. I mean, you could say it's an overpay, but I mean, is $1 million really an overpay for anyone? You could say it is, but I'm not too pissed off about that. I mean, granted, I don't know how much of a upgrade he is over Gaudreau, if he even is one. We'll see about that. And then obviously the Riley Smith trade, not really a needle mover for me. I mean, you could say we got better because maybe they kind of, I guess, because he's getting paid the salary that Gaudreau would have gotten paid because they retained it, right? I think he's making like 3.7, Riley Smith. So they got him, and they got rid of Roslovic. They got rid of Wenberg, obviously. So you add in him and Carrick to the lineup, maybe another year of some of the younger guys like Cooley or like Rempe. Maybe they'll play a little bit better. Obviously, it's kind of like an addition with Hedl because he didn't play at all. But then obviously earlier we discussed in the last one, they re-signed Kakko. So we'll see what happens. But it was quiet. They don't have cap. They haven't re-signed the two defensemen. I still think they need to sign a seventh defenseman, or they have to. I don't think anybody in Hartford is worthy of that seventh spot. Looks like they're going to go with Jones though.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on just I guess after kind of just rambling on, breaking all the moves down and what they have? Like, do you see Trouba like you think he's 100% on the team?
Yeah, Trouba does. And I'm not gonna there's been a lot of controversy around Rangers Twitter and the media about people like what they say about the situation, because it's like it's like kind of a sensitive situation, I guess, with
Yeah.
his wife's residency. Everybody's like, oh, it's a personal thing. Like, I'm not gonna
You
go
want to?
down that
Yeah, I'll give
road.
you my opinion. I don't give a
It,
shit about his wife's career.
yeah,
That
it's
doesn't affect the Rangers. Should not be making any.
no, yeah, and look, I agree because
Well, wait. Listen,
but
let me say this.
mhm,
It's two different. There's like two streets here.
it
The one is that the Rangers made this deal. They're mad, they can be mad about themselves. They made the deal,
it's both sides. Yeah, there's
and then
both sides have a hand in this.
Trouba's got to realize this is a profession. The Rangers
Yes.
obviously are trying to do what's best for them, and if that ruffles some feathers, then it's going to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
again, at the end of the day, this is a business. Guys move all the time. They relocate. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to move that contract though.
No. Yeah, and I agree. And look, that's kind of what I'll get at as well is, both look, this is a terrible contract for the Rangers. They've got themselves into a mess here. Their fault, not Trouba's, theirs.
Jeff
And
Gordon.
yeah, exactly. And now you're in a situation where you're kind of in an odd situation, but I agree with you. It's a business. It's, yes, they're playing a kid's game, but it's a business at the end of the day. Jacob Trouba, even though he's the captain of the Rangers, big city, big market, he's not any more special, any more different than any other athlete in any sport, not even just hockey, any sport that has to relocate away from their family for an extended period of time for an entire season. So that to me, it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, us as fans, we care about the hockey team. We care about the success of the hockey team. And this hockey team probably would have been a lot more successful in free agency if they would have gotten something done, as opposed to keeping Jacob Trouba, who, let's just be honest here, he's not a good defenseman. He's a clear liability. He was awful in the playoffs. He's not very good. Sure, he's good in the locker room, but on ice, he's not good. It's just how like it is. No sugarcoating that.
Yeah,
So
it also looks horrible when you're paying him. I hope
yeah,
this year that he should be on the third pair this year. I think Schneider
yeah.
has outplayed him substantially. So paying your third pair defenseman $8 million is a crime.
Yeah. And it just, that's my thing. Is like, it's not any, like you said, it's not any different than any other situation. Um, it is what it is. So many athletes go through this. Jacob Trouba is not any special. He's the furthest thing too. It's not like he's not very good. It's not like this dude is some Rangers legend that'll have his name up in the banners one day or end up in the rafters one day at MSG. Like, it's just, he's just like every other guy. It's a business, but it seems like for him, at least in this situation, it's being treated as it's something special. But either way, moving on from that, he's going to be with this team. I don't like that. I don't think many Rangers fans like that after seeing what he did last year in the postseason. He was not any good, at least this year, and then maybe you move on next season. But then again, you're going to have to deal with him for an entire year, and who knows what the postseason brings if he has more of these struggles. And it's just a terrible contract. It kind of puts Drury in a situation where he's handcuffed as to what he can do. It's all around messy. So moving on from that to Sam Carrick, start with him. I mean, yeah, it's a fourth line center. He's was with Toronto. He's kind of hasn't played like a ton consistently. He's always kind of been in and out of the lineup. He was in and out of the lineup during the postseason this year. I think he played 3 games in the series against the Kings, and then he played only 2 games against the Canucks.
Did he play any
And
games in the Panthers series?
He played 1. He played game 2 against the Panthers. So he kind of was in and out of the lineup, played total of 10 games this postseason for the Oilers. He was, of course, dealt to the Oilers from the Ducks at the deadline this year, so played 16 regular season games with them. I mean, this is a guy that has career 28 goals, 25 assists, 53 points. Yeah, I mean, how much of an upgrade or what is he really compared to Gaudreau? I don't know.
Not.
But he's a fourth line center. It's not a
not
needle
an
mover.
upgrade. Just I
No.
guess you can consider the salary difference. And
Yeah.
upgrade.
Either way, though, the Rangers this offseason, and the whole reason why I'm frustrated, we're all frustrated, they needed to make a bigger move. They needed to shake this team up a little bit with a bigger name, whether that was a Patrick Kane, whether it was a Jonathan Marchessault, a guy that he was, won the Conn Smythe for the Vegas Golden Knights, or even Patrick Kane, who is now healthy and has a playoff resume. And even when he was with the Rangers, was,
even
I
with
guess,
one
not.
hip, he still did pretty solid.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. For what he was playing on one leg, one hip, he couldn't move, and he wasn't that bad. Healthy Patrick Kane would really help this team, especially in the postseason. To miss out on those guys and to end up with Sam Carrick and Riley Smith, those aren't needle movers. Sam Carrick we're not going to look back at this team in June and say, man, the Rangers win the cup. We're not going to look back and say, man, that Sam Carrick,
Conn Smythe legacy.
Yeah, contract and free agency, that was huge. That saved this team. So I don't hate it. It's a fourth line center. He's going to be in another lineup. Yeah, it's kind of is what it is. As for Riley Smith, I mean, this was a guy that it seemed like they were maybe targeting a little bit last year at the deadline. There was some reports that, they were kind of just not even reports, but some fans. I remember when we were on that Twitter space after Gensel went, and we were all trying to figure out what the heck they would do. Riley Smith was the name that was brought up, so they do finally deal for him. For people out there, it is a conditional 5th-round pick in 2025 and a 2nd-round pick in 2027 that the Rangers are sending to Pittsburgh.
What's the condition on the pick?
I am not 100% sure. I just know it's conditional in 2025, next year. So 33 years old, has been kind of all over the place, was with Dallas, Boston, Florida, Vegas. Now he's with Pittsburgh. He won a cup with Vegas. He only played 1 year with Pittsburgh.
Condition is just that Pittsburgh gets the lower of their 2 picks in the 6th round.
13 goals last year, 27 assists, 40 points. 33 years old, been in the league for a while, veteran. I mean, some speculation at the deadline. Is he on the first line with? It's just, to me, that doesn't move the needle as what either. I mean, Riley Smith as your first line right wing. Let's just say they pair him up on that first line. If they keep Kreider and Mika, like, to me, that doesn't move the needle.
I don't want to cut you off here, but no.
You want to put him up there?
What are we doing here? You know what's going to happen? This is what I'm going to call it right now.
It's not going to work. That's what's
mark
my
words. Remember that I said this right now, July 9th, 2014 or 2024. He will be what every other winger will be with those guys. He'll be on and off. Maybe he gets hurt, misses some games. He'll play most of the season with them to start the season, and it's not going to be good because those two guys, Kreider and Zibanejad, cannot play with each other. And on top of this, he's aging. He's not great off the rush. He's a solid 3rd-line player, but he's nowhere near a first-line winger. It's gonna be the same conversation. We need a right winger at the deadline. That's the biggest. What do the Rangers need? Biggest hole is right winger at the deadline.
Exactly, and that's the problem with this offseason. This team needed to go out.
Listen, that's the one need they you could argue.
They needed a big game,
or maybe they needed another. Yeah, that was the one thing they had to fix, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
They
didn't. And let's be honest, they haven't done it in a couple years now.
How many right wingers do we realistically have on the team? Lafreniere he's a left winger. Don't get me wrong, he was great this year, but he's a left winger.
Kakko he's not a first line player. I'm sorry, he's just not.
He's a solid 3rd-line player.
Yeah, he's not. He's not a first line guy.
So that's what I'm saying. We don't have any top 6 right wingers.
Johnny Brzezinski. Bring him up.
Dude, I didn't realize how much the Rangers fans hated him. I don't think he's that bad for a 4th-line
Johnny
player.
Brzezinski?
People, the Rangers fans hate him.
I mean, what is he? I don't have it. He's a 4th
line. He's a solid scratch player, a guy that comes into lineup with injuries.
Yeah, he's not terrible. I don't know really what there is to hate about him. He's
an NHL player. So, yeah, what do you expect?
This guy there's a whole lot of other issues on this team. There's a lot of greater issues on the team than Johnny Brzezinski.
We're gonna forget about this. I hope I bring it up before the next season. We got to do it over under. Kreider, Zibanejad, line mates starting a game. If they
yeah. I mean,
they obviously can switch people during a game, but we should do that next year. Over under
starting lineups. How many different right wings
in the starting lineup? How many different people are penciled in with Zibanejad and Kreider next year? Over under 4.5.
Easily over, I think, because
How much of it was last year? Like Panarin
well,
never started with them.
you had
Lafreniere never
Roslovic,
started with them. Roslovic,
Kakko,
Wenberg had played. Right,
Wenberg,
Wenberg played the
yeah,
game 6.
6,
Kakko, Wheeler,
Wheeler,
Jimmy
that was
VC. That's 5.
VC, that was 5, yeah.
I
I'd say over
think
because, right, it's
Brodzinski.
going to be Riley Smith, it's going to be
I
Kakko. They might try Lafreniere for a game, and then they're going to go trade for somebody at the deadline.
Also
So that'll easily be 4.
at the very least, I could think of 6 because I think Brodzinski did play a couple with them.
Yeah.
So that's 6 last year.
And injuries too, not trying to be negative, but if let's say Riley Smith would to go down and maybe I don't know if Kakko goes down again, then you would really kind of be shuffling. But yeah, easily just
Even
right off the
without
bat because
injuries.
they're not going to be any good.
So
Riley Smith,
so you think Riley
Kakko,
Smith, Kakko, VC? Does he get any playing
trade
time?
deadline could be VC. Yeah, it's easily at least 3.
Maybe like Othman or Cooley.
Could, yeah. And that's something too. Like maybe the Rangers are like, let's say Berard and Othman. Like
Maybe they
maybe they're
believe in
relying.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, they
they are
believe in
relying
those
on it.
guys.
One of those guys has to make the team.
Yeah, but what are those?
But then who comes out of the lineup though?
Yeah, that's tough. And of course, Cooley making a jump as well could help. But to me, like let's just hypothetically, let's say these are the lines. Not really changing too much, but let's say it's the first line is Riley Smith, Mika, Kreider.
Then just the Trocheck line.
Yeah, then the Trocheck line, and let's say Cooley,
Cooley,
Hedel,
Hedel.
Kakko.
Okay.
And then VZ, Carrick, Brzezinski.
Or Rempe.
Yeah,
I'd
Rempe.
rather have Rempe play than Brzezinski.
But even this, like, too, I guess you could put it this way as well. Essentially what the Rangers did here when it comes to the free agency is they turned Roslovic into Riley Smith. They turned Wenberg into Hedel, Gustafsson into Jones, and Gaudreau into Carrick. Are those really needle movers? I mean, Gaudreau into Carrick's not.
Sure. I'd say I have a lot of faith in Hedel though.
Yeah, Hedel, yes.
Can he stay healthy?
But that's not even an outside move. So I mean, it's an upgrade, but like he's been here. And then
and he kind of played in the
Smith, it's not going to work. We've seen this same song and dance.
You could say Hedel, obviously wasn't in shape, wasn't, fully in hockey position, but he did play in all the meaningful games. So
he did. To me, it just comes down to, it's not going to come down to, I love Hedel and we know what Cooley can do. And, hopefully Kakko takes a jump this year. And obviously, Othman maybe plays a role and you have Rempe maybe gets better and all these guys. But, and then of course the Panarin Trocheck laugh line that was so good last year for every game, even into the playoffs, they very rarely slumped.
Yeah.
It all still comes down to the first line and it still comes down to that right wing. And to me, they haven't solved that. And until they do so, which they're going to have to probably find a way, which is frustrating because then it's the same thing. You have to go into the deadline. You're going to have to try and find a piece middle of the year. You're going to have to hope that piece fits. And if it doesn't, we're going to stare at another second round Eastern Conference final loss.
Yeah.
To me, they just didn't move the needle. This roster, if you put this roster against Florida in June next year, they're not winning that series. They're out in 5-6.
They can rely on Igor, but they need to score more goals.
Yeah. And we'll see what the Igor contract looks like. And I'm sure once Igor gets his big deal, it'll get the fan base excited. But
you can't win a series when your first line does nothing.
Yeah.
Outside of the shorthanded goal.
And Panarin too. Panarin, of course.
But that line at least was scoring though. Like Trocheck and Lafreniere were scoring.
Yeah.
At the very least. Panarin wasn't great.
Lafreniere was great. And Trocheck's a playoff player.
In the Florida series, they didn't score one goal, that line. Not one.
No. I mean, Kreider had the game 6 against Carolina, and then he thought that was it.
He forgot that wasn't the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
But that did. They didn't. Wait, they didn't. Did Zibanejad have a point? Did Kreider and Zibanejad have a point besides the shorthanded goal?
I don't think so.
Zibanejad and Kreider were the difference in that series. If they played well, at least one of them did. I think they could have won the series.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it got so
You
bad.
can't have
Yeah, like you said, Game 6 with the season on the line. Alex Wenberg, who is now playing for the San Jose Sharks, was your first line right wing, and he wasn't even.
And I don't blame Peter Laviolette because he didn't have a guy to put him with.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, it was desperate at that point. It's season on the line. Your top line, your top two, whatever the heck they are,
Listen, he did
Kreider
what
and
I
Mika.
wanted
They're
to
like
do. I
best
give him
buds.
I've given him all the credit in the world. I wanted Heedle to play. He gave Heedle the chances. He didn't really do much. So
Yeah, I just wonder at what point, and we said this last year, and now of course we didn't do it in the off season last year. This podcast started in October, but like we said it even at the beginning of the season last year, and all throughout the season, especially during Mika's goal drought. At what point, or 5-on-5 goal drought? At what point do the Rangers finally see that they're the problem? How
dude,
many more years are we going to go by
I don't
with
know.
trying to find a right wing? Because I'm to the point too now where even if you
Wouldn't
brought
it be
back
easier
game,
don't they think it'd just be easier to split them up than trying to
yeah,
find a revolving door?
exactly. And that's my thing is at what point even Kreider and Mika kind of look themselves in the mirror and say,
We can't
man,
play with each
we're the
other.
problem.
Yeah, they are.
They're the problem. I mean,
Everybody else but them,
I
right?
know
Yeah.
Kako isn't the greatest, and I get Riley Smith's not
Yeah,
a huge needle mover, but there's no way these
listen,
guys
dude.
can get moved up and
How
be
good was
that
that line?
bad.
Wait, let me see. How good was that line during the playoffs? The third, granted, they couldn't score for shit.
Well, yeah,
But
that's
they were
the thing. It's the bottom
but,
six.
But then when you put, I'm saying when you put Kako on the other line, he was really good.
Yeah. Well, that's another. Like the bottom six was good for this team in the playoffs.
They did their job to win the Stanley Cup. Their bottom six played well enough to win the cup. It wasn't.
Oh, they were amazing. Barclay Goodrow was, I mean, legendary.
Their role guys performed well enough to win. It's just their main guys didn't.
Their top six didn't, and they haven't done anything to improve that, except Riley Smith, which proved me wrong. But
Watson score like 40 goals this year.
Is it just me, or is Riley Smith giving off like Blake Wheeler vibes? Like
I
old.
thought that was the first thing I thought. I was like, he's Blake Wheeler a little bit
He's
younger
literally gonna be
now.
Blake Wheeler. He's old. He's
Dude,
not
because
gonna be able
I
to
think he scored
move. He's
40
not gonna be
points.
able to keep
Listen,
up.
he played power play time last year. He only scored like 40 points, and
Yeah.
I think Wheeler stays healthy the whole year. He probably finishes around 40. So yeah, that was my first thought. Was this guy's a little bit
The
better than
age,
Wheeler.
it just screams it. Yeah, he'll be a little bit better.
Just because he's like 2 or 3 years younger. That's it. But
Yeah. He just screams Blake Wheeler.
Just an old veteran guy, you know.
That's gonna be
Listen,
out of
the
there
thing is
by
that it's gonna piss me off. Like I said this earlier,
or out of the lineup.
Dude, it's gonna piss me off because like the problem the whole season, the whole way is gonna be we need someone to find for the right wing. And at the deadline this year, I swear to God, if they go out and get another Roslovic
Frankie
level,
Vetrano.
I think they got to get like a stud in. They have
to go. I mean, we talked about it at the
They
deadline.
should have done this year. I would have been fine trading
Oh.
Kako, Othman. This was the year to do it.
Yeah, you had to go all in. They should have went out and got Gensel or somebody like that.
I would have given up Kako and Othman easily for this team because this team is good enough to win.
Even Duclair. I know he's with the Isles, but even a guy like that would be better. Would make me feel better going into this than Riley Smith. Duclair wouldn't be the big name that we would have all wanted.
But he's young though. So
but
like,
he's younger and he's better. He's solid. And I could trust going into the regular season when we start the year, which I believe we started in Pittsburgh, actually, right? The schedule came out. I think we started with Pittsburgh. And
Riley Smith legacy game.
Yeah, that is true. You know, I'll pick Riley Smith. Just saying right now, I'll take Riley Smith for goal scorer in that game. Comeback season for the goal scoring picks coming up. Yeah. But like when they start up that game, I would have in Pittsburgh on opening night, I would have felt a whole lot better if Duclair was out there for opening face-off than Riley Smith. Just somebody other than like these old, like Roslovic. Like, what are we doing?
He was so bad.
Come on now.
So bad.
You know what's funny? His first game, remember the Blues game when they shut out the Blues 4-0? Where he actually played well. He was skating well. He was getting shots on net. Like the first line was actually providing pressure. And I was like, oh man, maybe we walked into something.
I'm in the rough.
And then here a couple months later, you had Wenberg out there in a must-win Game 6.
Wenberg was good though. I don't have anything bad to say about him.
I like
Wenberg. He was a really good third line center. Granted, he couldn't score, but I mean, he got a big goal.
He couldn't score, but that's not necessarily his job.
Yeah, he did his job. Roslovic's job was to create offense, and he did not.
I think sometimes us as Rangers fans, we took some of our anger out on like other players like Wenberg at times if he couldn't score because we knew that the first line was incapable.
But think
And
of
like when we had chances, you just
they were
get
always
frustrated.
playing well, and that line always played well defensively, offensively. Granted, they couldn't score, but the Roslovic was so bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, prove us wrong, Riley Smith. And I don't hate the move. I just it's not
Doesn't do
a
anything.
needle mover for me. And it's not a move that I think will
Well, it didn't. It
is
did not
gonna
address the problem.
no. It didn't, yeah, it didn't. It's kind of it's like putting a Band-Aid over it, not even for a
You
couple
could have
months
maybe got
until
you
December
maybe
when they're struggling.
you maybe could have gotten Kane for like $4 million. I think that was possible.
Yeah. And I was all on board for Kane too. I wanted Kane.
So
I thought he was
the money for Kane, I don't think was that crazy. That like realistically they could have done it. I don't think we did say kind of earlier that the Trouba contract was like like it was handcuffing them, but I
yeah.
think Kane could have happened.
Kane could have. Marcel wouldn't have, but Kane could
Yeah.
have. I mean, he get Kane at the deadline, I guess. Still, although I think Detroit will probably make a pretty. I don't see them doing
They'll
that.
probably be in
They're
it
going to
till the
be.
end though, so he won't be
Yeah, they'll be in
traded.
it like they were last year. They'll probably get. I feel like they've got to get in this year. These 2 years in a row now, they've been close. I feel like this year they've got some pressure now to get in. So I don't see them dealing Kane. I mean, I don't want to look too far ahead. I know we're looking at the worst case scenario where if Riley Smith and maybe move Kako up and VZ gets time, like they don't find the answer similar to what they were doing last year, you're going to be in the same position at the deadline. But just thinking of some of those names at the deadline, I mean, and everybody, look, the season hasn't even started. We're talking about March and it's July. So, we
Let's see.
we haven't even started the
Let's see.
year.
What is it? 2025 NHL free
But
agents.
yeah,
I'll
you're
look at.
just
I'll look.
trying to
I'll
think of
let me look up a list. Let's
yeah,
see.
guys that are on those
How
1 year left.
realistically, yeah, that are real.
And
Like
yeah,
one guy everybody wanted,
and teams that could be
Buchnevich.
looking to trade. Obviously, you're not
Buchnevich.
going to go steal a top line player from a team in the playoffs, but
Like Buchnevich
maybe
was a guy everybody's talking about,
yeah.
but obviously he re-signed. So,
Maybe
um,
Vetrano. Vetrano will be a name again.
so there's
I mean, he
two
was the
guys
name
that,
going into the offseason. If the Rangers
yeah.
wanted to maybe like deal Kako, they could maybe
So,
get something
so
done
there's two
for
guys,
Vetrano.
obviously the Toronto guys. I don't see them getting traded, Tavares or Marner, at least at the deadline.
Yeah.
Jamie Benn, no, he's not getting traded. Rantanen's not getting traded. Crosby's not getting traded. Draisaitl's not being traded. Let's see. I guess I can just look up forwards.
But just like we were talking about it off air.
Brock
Just the
Besser,
way where
maybe?
this.
But they're going to be good, I think, right?
Who did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear
Brock
you.
Besser?
Yeah, I don't see them. I mean, they got to the
Marchand?
conference finals this year. I don't see
If,
why.
if
They were one game away from the cup.
if the Bruins aren't in playoff position, Marchand? Travis Konechny, maybe? He's a free agent.
Yeah, I could see. I think he's more realistic. I think he's more
Carter
realistic.
Verhaeghe,
I
yeah, they're
think the
going to be, no.
Flyers will be out of playoff contention before the Bruins will be.
Sam Bennett, no, they're going to be probably the best team in the league, or not, if not the best. Yeah, I guess Vetrano is going to be the name that people probably will talk about the whole year.
Vetrano will be talking about. I mean, they talked about him in the offseason. Vetrano will be talked about a ton. The Ducks won't be good. I mean, maybe Zegras.
I was a little upset though when I really thought there was a chance maybe we could bring back in Buchnevich, but obviously
Yeah.
he signed a pretty lucrative deal, so that won't be happening. But as far as like the Metro, what do you think about like how it's going to look next year as far as like the other moves that like like the Devils made?
Look, I hate the Devils, but I think they probably you can make the case at the best offseason in this conference or in this division. They'll be back right in the playoff hunt. I mean, they got exactly what they needed, added to the defense, which was
I think it's
desperately
crazy
a
though how
problem.
they're like favored already over the Rangers.
No,
It's kind of
look,
insane.
I think that's outrageous, but they'll be up there again, neck and neck with the Rangers. I think
Like
personally.
Pesci and Markstrom, those are good moves, but I mean at the end of the day, like they got to prove it before I see them,
No, yeah, 100%. I don't think
I think they're
they'll
gonna
be a
make the
playoff
playoffs.
team again.
I
Yeah,
agree, but
yeah,
to win a
definitely.
division, I don't think so.
No, I
They
mean, of
could, they
course,
could, but they shouldn't be favored. I think they took a step up, and I think the Hurricanes took a big step down. Here's
well,
a prediction. I think the Rangers,
yeah.
just because the teams aren't that great right now in the Metro, I think they'll win it, and I think the Hurricanes will finish in a wild card spot, and then the Devils will make the second seed, and the third seed it's going to be like a random team that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what I think. I think it'd be probably Rangers, Devils.
Maybe maybe a team like Pittsburgh or something like that. I think honestly, the Hurricanes are going to drop off.
This is a big year for Pittsburgh. If it doesn't work out this year, it's over. Like Crosby's probably going to be gone.
Well, I think they're going to resign him right now, so I think he'll be there for the rest of his career.
Yeah. But the Devils, they'll finish over. I think probably what 100
I think they're going
points.
to. I think they definitely finish ahead of the Hurricanes. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean the Hurricane losing Gensel was huge.
They
They've
lost Gensel. I mean, they still have to resign Jarvis and
mhm.
Netches. They lost
I think too when you look at the
Pesci.
goaltending now, Devils have the advantage there with Markstrom over Carolina as well,
Yeah.
which isn't something you could say last year. To me,
Mhm.
I just think the Devils like they had clear needs going into the offseason. Defensively, their defense core last year. I know they dealt with some injury. Of course, Dougie
They got
Hamilton
Hamilton
missed a lot of
back.
time. Yeah,
Hamilton,
he's coming
Pesci,
back.
Hughes, Nemec. Pretty
Mhm.
solid.
And
Siegenthaler, I think they still have.
yeah. Um, of course, Luke Hughes as well. And then you add Markstrom.
Thanasis
They
Hughes.
they filled out the needs. What do you say?
You know that meme? Thanasis
What
Hughes.
was it?
Thanasis Hughes. Like, because like the
Oh,
meme is like Giannis's brother like sucks, and he's just on the
yeah.
team because he's like the bad brother. But I think Hughes will be good. But
Yeah,
I
with
think
Quinn and Jack.
yeah, I mean, that was just like a joke. But I think they're gonna
No,
be
yeah,
better.
it's
They're
not.
gonna
I
be
mean,
better.
he's the weak link out of the three.
He's just so bad. He's so bad defensively. He's good offensively, but very bad defensively.
Yeah.
But
Um.
depends if they stay healthy. I think they'll be able to come in second in the division.
Yeah, I agree. They'll be over 100 points coming second.
They're not a playoff team though, so
Wait,
they aren't built for the playoffs.
who the
Like in the
Devils?
playoffs. I'm saying in
Oh
the
yeah,
playoffs.
I thought I was gonna say. You said they were. I thought
I
you
think
meant
they're
they
gonna
were
make
gonna
the.
miss
But
the
I'm saying
playoffs.
they're not a
Yeah.
playoff like
No,
team
yeah, I
that's like
agree.
built for the playoffs because they're soft.
Mhm.
They don't play good defense, and it's just all going to depend on
Yes.
what happens with what's his face Markstrom. But I don't see them
Yeah.
making any deep run. I don't see the Rangers really making a deep run either. The Rangers can get back to the conference final, but I think the Rangers are built better for a playoff run than they are. But
Well,
I don't know.
can't wait for that conference final.
I
They'll
don't know.
be up
And like
2-1.
the freaking Islanders, like I said, always find a way. So maybe the Islanders
Yeah, the
gonna
Islanders. I think the Islanders will probably sneak in before
they could
Pittsburgh does.
they could finish ahead of the Hurricanes. That could be a team that could do that.
Yeah, they need Sorokin to play a lot better.
Yeah, he was horrible last year.
If he turns it around, they added Duclair. I could see the Islanders. I mean, they had 94 points last year. They were in all those games in overtime, so they'll probably be around that. I mean, I think they'll have a better record, but I don't think Duclair is going to turn them into a powerhouse. But yeah, the Islanders they're kind of that boring. They'll get to the first round, probably losing 5 to maybe the Devils or something like that. Maybe the Rangers face them. But yeah, they'll probably sneak in. Devils, I think to me, the Devils are the Rangers' biggest threat now. Capitals, they're not anything scary. Columbus obviously is terrible. Philly, I thought would do a lot more. They've kind of been very quiet. And then of course Pittsburgh is what they kind of are what they are. They'll be probably around high 80s, low 90s, maybe sneak in. Nothing crazy. Rangers will be, well over 100. I don't know if they'll quite have 114 like they had last year,
Sure.
but
Yeah, I mean
maybe.
they're going to drop off a little, but I don't like at the end of the day
Yeah, I
for
mean
me,
last year was historic.
just make the playoffs. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to play the same teams regardless. Obviously, it'd be nice to have the bye again, but that's not realistic to get another first round bye.
I like that. I'd like
But
another first round bye.
we're kind of mentioning it, kind of going more into like I guess the future. If you want to kind of just talk about this, just
Yeah.
like we're talking a little bit prior to going on air, but like it seems like this team's got what like we were saying 2-year window. It's going to be the Panarin and Trouba contracts this year, next year, and then maybe probably the rebuild after that. You
Yeah,
know,
it'll be another letter.
because okay, you have this year and next year everybody on the Bucks, or this year everybody's on the Bucks, obviously. But then next year you gotta figure out what you want to do with Kako, Lafreniere, Cooley's still up next year. You know, they're gonna probably be moving on from VC. Miller and
Maybe
Jones, they're gonna
easy.
have to resign. Obviously, Shesterkin. So you got a lot of things you have to figure out that year. But then the following year, you get Panarin and Trouba off the book. So that's almost $20 million. Like I mean, it seems like this is going to be it for them. We have 2 years of contending, unless like Lafreniere turns into like a superstar and is able to kind of just replace the production from Panarin. But
Yeah, and then like if Gabe Perreault comes up and
yeah,
is a stud, is as good as he's been in
and
college and
maybe we didn't talk anything
for
about it, but
USA.
I think the Emery pick, that kid looks like he could be pretty solid defensively
Yeah,
in a couple of years. So maybe he comes up and kind of can replace Trouba.
possibly.
Even though I think Schneider will. I think Schneider is a better, younger version of him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems
Yeah,
like this
it's
is going to be it, though.
yeah, for this core, this core of like Panarin, Mika, Kreider, this is kind of it. That's one positive though with the Rangers is future wise, they still have some good young talent coming up, and they have some young talent up now. You've got Cooley, you've got Lafreniere, Fox.
Schneider,
We'll
Miller.
see what happens with Hoffman, Berard, how they end up turning out. Even if you could just hit on one of them,
Hopefully Hedel could stay
yeah,
healthy.
Hedel, and then you'll have Perreault. That'll would be your next wave 2 years from now if this team doesn't work out, and you'd probably have to go through like a year or two of growing pains with those guys. But then even too, like
The
at
thing is,
that
I don't
point,
think.
Lafreniere,
What sucks is they're not going to be bad though if they have Igor,
no, they won't be bad. Yeah,
but they're not going to be good enough to win.
yeah, they will be a. You're talking about 2 years from now if like they move on from Panarin and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they would.
that's also Kreider and Zibanejad. Think about they'll be on the team, but they'll still be 2 years older, so they're not going to be as good.
Yeah, I mean,
It's gonna,
I don't know. I doubt Mika's here for 2 more years if he continues to.
well, he's got such a big contract though. It's hard to
Yeah,
trade him. He's here till 29, 30. He's here for 6 more years. Isn't that crazy? He's on the team for 6 more years.
it's actually crazy that the Panarin contract. I don't know if some of it was COVID, but it's crazy. There's only 2 years left.
Yeah, he only signed for 7 years though.
Yeah, but like still, 2019 feels like so
Zibanejad
long
signed
ago
for
now.
9 years, $8 million or 8.5. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
And Drury made that. Drury signed him actually. So if you want to blame Drury, we can blame him for that.
Yeah, there's a lot to blame with Drury. I mean, of course, a lot of it was Gordon in the previous regime, but
I mean, yeah,
this is it. I mean,
I don't
same
think
thing for Lavalette as well. He's kind of these 2 years are
I said
huge.
that too. I think he'll make both. He'll finish the Rangers tenure with Panarin. I think.
Yeah. Now, if he wins a cup, he'll be here for about. They'll extend him.
That will get him a one or 2 more years. I think even so. But yeah. I mean, I guess you're still gonna have Kreider. You think they resign Kreider after that? He's up the year after Panarin.
Yeah.
Just to finish his career with the Rangers.
Yeah, it's possible. We'll see where he's
Um,
at 3 years from now. I mean, he does play a style of play where he could continue to play. I don't know if he'd retire, but if the Rangers were going through let's
maybe
say the
1, 2,
Rangers
3
won a
years.
cup and not this year, but let's say they win a cup next year. Right, like or Kreider, not Ryder. Kreider maybe would play one more season and then would just finish it out. Like I've got a cup, I'm done. Instead of
Maybe
coming back and playing
he'll be
with a
like
team that probably
36. I
won't be as
think
good.
be 36. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we said, Panarin, I don't think he's coming back. Trouba, obviously, I don't think we'll make it to the final year. I think they'll buy him out. I'm just trying to think. Obviously,
I mean,
Fox is
maybe
going to be
because I just don't think going back to Kreider, like I don't think
good.
if they don't win these next 2 years or 3 years and his contract's up, I don't think he's gonna want to sit through like maybe another
Yeah,
2 year reset.
he'll probably leave if we don't win.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if he'd retire or not, because if he wants to stay a Ranger his whole career, or if he
I
wants to
think
go, I mean,
the
look, Lundqvist
biggest
is gonna put capital, so
there's two big X factors for this team's future, and I think a lot of them are a lot of the future things I think are kind of trending in a a pretty certain outcome. Like I said, Panarin's probably not coming back. Trouba's probably going to be gone after this year. You know, Zibanejad, they're just going to ride that out. I think Kreider, like you said, depending on what happens as far as winning, because he is a movable contract. But obviously, you have Trocheck for those years. But I think the two biggest factors are going to come down to what they give Lafreniere and Shesterkin, because those are going to be their two stars when everybody's
yeah.
gone. That's going to be the two big players for the 5, 6, 7 years after this.
Yeah. And then you still have Fox too.
Yeah, but I'm saying Fox already signed though.
Well, yeah, but in terms of like franchise cornerstone
Oh yeah,
pieces,
it'll be Fox will be probably the best player on the team. But I'm saying like as
yeah.
far as guys we have to sign to look into the future with,
Mhm.
it'll be those
Oh,
two
yeah.
guys. Like those, I'm saying those contracts are big for these guys
Yeah.
because like I think they right now, while the iron is hot, are when they have a chance they should sign Lafreniere and give him a pretty big contract, because I do think when Panarin's gone, he'll be that hopefully 80, 90 point scorer just because of the
Yeah.
playing time, the attention he's going to get, power play time.
Power
And
play.
I think at that point, the risk you have is, okay, you give him a 2-year gap, right? Like say next year, we give him another gap contract. Panarin's gone, and then he has a massive year. Then you're going to have to give him like 9, 10 million. But now I think I'd give him 8, 8. I think that it's a little risky, but I think it's warranted just because of how much cap flexibility they'll have, because all those guys are going off the books.
Yeah.
And you saw
Yeah, it's interesting.
Slavkovsky got almost like 8 million too, and
Yeah.
he's not as good as Lafreniere.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I will be interested to see what they do with Igor if they get him done this year or this offseason.
You think they're gonna ride into the season?
I mean, there hasn't been much. There hasn't been much around it.
There's been like
It's kind of been
no
quiet.
noise. Yeah, that's true. They haven't,
I mean,
like I
they'll
said,
probably get something done, maybe more towards training camp.
they
But
haven't even re-signed the two defensemen, Schneider and Lundgren.
yeah, too busy going after Riley Smith.
Listen,
I wonder if the Trouba situation is really like the Rangers really want him gone.
It's not going to happen though. I think he's going to be on the team.
But isn't that weird though?
They
For
really
Trouba, there's no way he can walk into that locker room next year.
Awkward.
Like, it's gonna be so awkward. Yeah, like
Maybe
the
on the
team
locker
doesn't
room.
want you, and the fan base doesn't want you.
Yeah,
You
it's got to
know,
be tough. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think they'll ride it one more year with him, but just the killer and these penalties and going for unwarranted hits and just kills them.
this is just what stinks. And look, we're gonna enjoy all 82 games this year. You love the grind of 82, but just with this team, none of it, like, it just doesn't matter. The regular season just isn't the same. It's all about the postseason. I know that's obvious, but it's just like, no matter what this team does in the regular season, none of it matters.
Yeah.
Anymore. Last year, I feel like was maybe the last year because it was the historic season. It was a great regular season. We really thought that maybe this was the year, and then they lose again. And now for like Lavalette, it's the same thing with Glant in year one. Now we're going into year two. It's like, what's going to happen? No real roster improvements.
Same
thing where it's like the regular season will be such a drag this year. It's going to just drag.
It's same shit, different day.
Different day, yeah. Always teasing, never pleasing.
That's Frank the Tank quote.
Frank the Tank says that for the Mets, but I actually think it fits the Rangers more because the Mets are usually just stink. The Rangers, they always tease. They get to the playoffs every year, but they can't finish.
I guess you can at least say for them they get somewhat decent.
Well, I mean, look, the regular season's fun. They'll make the playoffs.
It's not just like they're like going out in the first round every year. They get these runs, but
except last year.
That is true. That was a disaster.
You know what's funny? The off season so far it's not going by that slow, but I mean, they did play into June.
I feel like though, like it like goes really quick though. Like like you're
Well,
kind
yeah, I
of thinking,
mean,
oh, this off season, it's slow,
really
slow,
next
and
month, the
then
only the
like
next
once you
last month without hockey.
yeah, like once you forget about it, like August flies by, and then they start training camp and
Yeah,
preseason in
preseason.
September. So
No,
it
yeah, I mean,
goes
fans are already over the loss to Florida. Now you just kind of there's nothing really happening. It's kind of you don't really think about them, the team, the hockey that much, and it kind of just flies. And then you have hockey at the Garden. I'm sure the Rangers will post next month on their Twitter like this is the last month without hockey at the Garden.
Yeah, something
Because
stupid.
in September you'll get preseason. Remember last year preseason? We were all panicking.
About Lafreniere?
No, the team they were just playing
Oh,
so
like
bad.
yeah, quick looks so
They were
bad.
terrible. Yeah, and Quick wasn't good. They were awful. The entire team was terrible.
Yeah,
And everybody was like, oh no.
doomsday.
And then so is that what we want this year? Do we want them to go like 0-6 in the
I just want to say
preseason?
this, dude. Just looking back on it, like I'm still like in awe. Like I want to go back and watch like some of the shit that we said prior to like our predictions before the season.
Why? Do you think they were
I'm just
bad?
curious because I was really high, like insanely high on Kako and insanely low in Lafreniere and Panarin. And the
I
exact
was normal
opposite.
on Panarin. I was very high on Gustafson, and I was very high on. I wasn't
Dude,
very high. I don't think on either Lafreniere or Kako, to be
I
honest.
thought Kako was gonna have a monster season
I don't see. I don't know why people like. How do you get that feeling?
because he played
He's to
well
me,
last year.
he's done.
He had 40 points. He didn't get a lot of
Yeah,
great
it's just
prime
like
playing
he's
time.
just never gonna be
He was
good.
good in the
He's never gonna
playoffs.
be as good as we thought. Like to me,
Hey,
Kako just is what he is. He's plateaued. He's not gonna be any better
all
than
right,
what he
here's a
is now.
question for you: 50 goals from Lafreniere,
50
or
goals from Lafreniere.
or 60 points from Kako.
50 goals.
60 goals or 60 points.
Oh my god. Probably 60 points then. I
Yeah,
don't think Lafreniere is gonna hit 60 goals.
if Lafreniere had 60 goals, right, and we don't pay him, we are fucked.
No, if Lafreniere has 60 goals and like tears it up in the playoffs and this team doesn't win a cup, we're never winning anything.
My thing, the reason why I want to pay him though so badly, not only the fact that I think he's gonna be really good once he gets, he'll have like, first off, how many times did we talk about him being like, how do you not score that, or like, dude, he
Yeah.
has so many more points.
He had, he had
He
like
could have
10
easily,
goals that he
he could have easily
should have
had
had.
like 70 points this year.
Yeah.
No power play time. Imagine he plays power play time, starts connecting on more with his confidence. No, that's not it though. I want to pay him because I think he's a playoff guy. I think he plays playoff hockey.
You got the playoff warrior inside of him.
He's got the clutch factor. He's got that gene. He had some big goals, like people like not like game winning goals, but I mean if you think about it, he tied the game in game was that game 4 against the Panthers late in the third. He had the 2 clutch goals in game 3. He had a go ahead goal late in the Carolina game 3. He had the game tying goal in what was the game that they lost like at the end of the game where Shea scored? Game 4 against the Hurricanes.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was game 4 they
Remember
lost
at the they
because
were
then they
down 1
got game 5 they didn't even show up at the Garden.
but I'm
Yeah.
saying they were down 1 late in the third or midway to the third, and he went behind the net and banked it in off of Anderson to
Yeah,
tie
that
the
was
game.
they went off his back.
So he
Or
scores
like his
he
butt.
scores some very timely goals, like and he skates hard. He's skillful. He's aggressive. I think he can play that tight style of hockey. And I'm really excited for him. I think now is the time to pay him. But yeah, just like I was just alluding to before that, I thought it was crazy how, like I said, so high on Kako, so low on Lafreniere because he didn't look good at all in the preseason.
No.
Then he scores the first goal of the season, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, he did.
I thought that line was gonna. I thought Heedle and him were putting monster numbies.
Dude, that first game of the season was like
That was electric.
Buffalo 5-1. That was
Heedle has like 4 points in the first 4 games. I was like, holy shit! But he didn't have any goals. He had like 4 assists, and that was it.
We really thought that was like that was it right there. First game under Lavalette, we win 5-1. Coach Peter.
I just liked how like my biggest takeaway, like I really loved how like Lafreniere and Hedo played in that game.
Yeah.
It was fun to. It's fun to watch when these young kids play good.
And then they had that freaking Canada trip. They won
They
every
played well in
game.
that, yeah. And then
The
coming
only
back,
game that and then they had the game against Columbus where they lost, but they had the 2 goals get called back.
then they played. Well, they played Minnesota and lost in the shootout, but they were up like weren't they up like 3-0
Yeah,
in
they
that
were up
game or
like
something?
they blew that game. Yeah, they blew it.
They still got a point though.
Yeah, they were up 3-0, and they came back. Were down 4-3, and then they scored, tied 4-4. I think it was
It might
Kreider
have been
that scored.
Yeah, Kreider.
Yeah, it was like, and then they lost in overtime or lost in the shootout.
Yeah.
But remember that game against I think they're one of their worst games. Remember that game against the Predators like early in the season at home? They lost like 4-1. It was so bad.
Yeah,
They
I do
played
remember
terrible.
that.
They were
They played like
2-2
shit.
out to the Canada trip. Lafreniere, he had like 3 straight games in that Canada trip with a goal. He was
Yeah, he
tearing.
had he had a lot of goals early in the season.
Well, not even the Canada trip because it started in Seattle, but the rest were in Canada. Yeah.
They played well. I mean, start the season, but you think here's a question: you think Kako's gone at the deadline?
Depends on how he's playing. It depends on where the Rangers are at. Like if they desperately need a right wing, like if their right wing's
All
just
right,
not
here
working, I think
I have
this
a
year would
couple
be the year Drew pull the trigger.
couple questions here. Okay, one
Mm-hmm.
in order points: Lafreniere, Kako, Hedel next year.
Lafreniere, Hito, Kako.
You think Hedel has more goals than Kako?
Yes.
Does he have more goals than Laf?
No.
Kreider's advantage had more goals. Kreider's advantage of Panarin. Who you know what? Scratch it.
Panarin.
Who scores the most goals on the team next year?
Probably I don't know. Is Panarin gonna have another one of these crazy years?
I think it's gonna be Lafreniere.
Yeah, it could be Lafreniere. Oh, I thought you were asking me out of the 3.
Out of
Mika, Kreider,
anybody, I'm
Panarin.
thinking
Oh,
the
out of
whole team.
everybody, it could be Lafreniere.
Do you think Zibanejad scores 40 ever in his career again?
No.
30?
Yeah, he'll hit 30. Well, I mean, even this year he was 4 away from 30, and he went months without a 5-on-5 goal. So
What
he'll
about
hit
Kreider?
30.
You think he'll score 40 again? He scored 39 this year, I think.
Yeah, it's possible. It depends, though. I mean, even in like the playoffs,
He's so streaky.
yeah, but I think too teams started to kind of figure out him in front of the net. He didn't have many of those tipping chances.
Yeah.
Other than the hat trick in game
Wait,
6 against Carolina.
how is he gonna get him though? That line never has the fucking puck.
Well, that's the
5
thing.
on 5.
And
Like he'll get him
they
on the power play
had it,
still.
but teams have also kind of figured it out. Like they just hasn't been the same.
I
So
don't know.
September 22nd is the first preseason game
You
in
think
Boston.
you think Kako scores 20 goals this year?
Yes.
Kako 20, Hedel 30, more likely.
Heedle 30. I'm down on Kako. I like him, but he's like I don't hate him. I think he's a great
Kool-Aid
dude. He's
Kako,
not a
who
very good
scores more
hockey
goals?
player.
Kool-Aid Kako, more goals.
Probably Kako.
Fox or Kako?
Probably Kako.
Yeah. Riley Smith or Hedel, who scores more goals?
Heedle.
Yeah.
Riley Smith will probably score like 14 goals. He'll have a Blake Wheeler stat line.
He'll have that one game where like he scored like 2 goals. Blake Wheeler legacy game. Then Blake Wheeler had a couple legacy games, right?
Yeah. How does the Rangers schedule like in terms of road games? Like do they have a lot of road games to start? No. No, do they have it? Nah, that's bad. They've got a ton. They didn't get lucky this year. They got a ton of road games to end the season.
At the end of the season, yeah.
Dude, they've got 3, 4, 7 of their final 10 games are on the road. No,
Yeah,
7 of their
really?
final 11 games are on the road.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Although they finished the season at home, though. They play the Lightning at home. Oh my God, dude, they're fine. Their end of the season schedule, it's not that easy. They'll have Devils, Tampa, Philly, Islanders, Carolina, Florida, Tampa. Hopefully they're well secured by that point.
Ugh.
Yeah, they got a ton of they got a lot of home games to open up the season. They've got well, they'll head on the road. Actually, I don't know. No, they'll have 3. They've got a homestand. They got 5 straight home games November into December.
I don't know, dude. I think we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's frustrating, but like you said,
Now,
we got 2 years, so we'll see what
yeah,
happens.
yeah, that'll do it. We'll be back sometime with another episode. It's July, not a whole lot going on. If they extend Igor, make any other moves, we'll discuss. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.